talking and singing. I'm talking and singing. And then, hello, my name is Aroma. You are here with myself and the lovely ladies at Gold Beams. This is Fourth Mondays. So, a little bit of a background on myself. I am an interdisciplinary artist. I've done film, poetry, dance, now music, but this is actually the newest part of my life, though. It's like, the part that you're about to experience right now. And I guess one thing about my whole journey in this process is that music was something I kind of fell into on accident, which I feel like is the case for a lot of people. But it was really something I started doing just for myself. Like, I would make songs on my iPod, my 2012 iPod, and I would make lullabies for myself to fall asleep to. And I would show people sometimes because I was directing music videos at the time. So some of my friends were musicians or producers or what have you, or really cool rappers. And I'd be like, hey guys, look at this song I made on my iPod. And they're like, well, this is kind of good. You make music now? And I'm like, nah, I'm just a director. So for a long time, I was just making things for myself. But even that felt really good and gave me this comfort that I don't feel like I've had in any different art form. I feel like each art form is an exploration of myself in these different ways. But with music, what I feel like is different is that it's taught me to want in a way that I did not know how to want for most of my life, especially growing up being really depressed. I never really wanted life. And there was a lot of things I wanted early on, to feel better, to be happy, to be able to experience life the way I saw other people experiencing life that I just never really received, not understanding exactly what mental illness or depression is. And so I think my coping mechanism for that was just to not want. So if you don't want, you don't run the risk of being aware of a void or aware of a lack or aware of a longing that you can't fulfill yourself. And then you're just in this perpetual, discomfort or agony. And so what I've learned to do was really numb myself in order to control my experience. And the things I did want, even if they were really ambitious or big things, there were things that I feel like I could provide for myself. So it wasn't don't rely on your environment, don't rely on other people. Whatever you can control is what you should want. You should go after that, is what I would tell myself. But even with music, I feel like it was the first thing that I did without an anticipated ending or an objective of any kind. And it was the first thing I fell in love with irrationally. It didn't matter if nobody else heard it. It didn't matter if it wasn't a part of some overarching career path or goal. And it was one of the few things that actually made me want to exist. I feel like a lot of other things were excuses. Oh, I have to exist because I have this project going on and this project going on and all these, you have all the obligations. But I feel like music was the first thing that really made me want to exist, to live for the experience of the music I am experiencing. Or existing with. And that's new. That's very new to me. And it's also something I've been trying to apply to life now, still dealing with depression and whatnot, is how to want this life, how to want this experience. And falling in love with the process of making music is teaching me that, and it's still something I've been learning. And in my process, I moved from, doing iPod songs to, instead of a 2012 iPod, I was on a 2012 MacBook. So we really upgraded. And I started producing on that. And I guess one of my earlier songs it's probably kind of old now. It's not out. I don't have much music out. But one of my early songs, one of my favorite productions that I made early in my music times, and I've been doing this for about 3 years now, is a song called Clever, which is always a fun one to get into. So I guess let's get into it. Say you never, say you never, say you never see me go. I'm so clever, brought my sweater for the cold. Say you see me seems too easy, I was never really bold. Say you bend me to amend me, origami with the fold. With the fold. I'm so clever, I'm so clever, I'm so clever. I'm so clever, I'm so clever, I'm so clever. I'm so clever, I'm so clever, I'm so clever. I'm so clever, I'm so clever, clever, I'm so clever. Through the long night, I'll be alright. Through the long night. Why you beat my heart till it's black and blue? I think I chipped my tooth back in round 2, but I'ma swing batter, get a head off you. Cause not a thing matter when I'm in the booth. What? Shut the fuck up! Think that I'm sinking from thinking too much. Don't ask about the weekend, I'm keeping it hush. But I got some bills, we can chill if you must. What? Shut the fuck up! Think that I'm sinking from thinking too much. Don't ask about the weekend, I'm keeping it hush. But I got some pills, we can chill if you must. I picked you a rose and it pricked me drip. Blood from my thumb, how it bit in my tongue when I speak your name. This be a frequent pain, isn't it? Never on top of my business. I get distracted, comment redacted. Gather my shit and I pack it. Burning the bridge till it's ashes. With nothing to say, but I hate how you acted. We should sever, take a piece of mind to go. Now, one thing that I have really enjoyed about music making or any art, I love storytelling. I love the process of creating worlds, I love the process of creating experiences. And that's something I used to do when I did dance or when I did filmmaking, or still do filmmaking. And part of why I love music is because it allows me not only the scary thing of wanting life for a reason, to experience a thing genuinely without necessarily having an objective, but like because it gives me permission to dive into all these different emotions and experiences I have and to like tell a story, a unique story. And in telling that unique story, I think word choice or like lyricism is really important to me. It's like, even if it's not the most like metaphoric word choice or esoteric thing, you know, like even choosing the difference between yeah, yes, and yeah are different. You know, there's different characters. And I really love immersing myself in different characters and finding more about myself in them and in the process of songwriting, which is something I try to do often, is just be really intentional about the words that I pick and the stories that I'm telling and the discovery that happens within that. And that is something I definitely tried to do with the next song that I wrote, because side note, I hate doing the same set every time. I think it's boring. So I always add a little song that I just made maybe a day before into my sets just to mix it up for myself, to make it more interesting. It's like, ooh, there's some stakes here. Will I do this? Will I do it well? Is this live? Or just for other people. So, you know, you just get something new. You never really know what the entirety of a set's going to sound like. This is one that I wrote in the past couple of days. And I also was trying to be really intentional about the narrative and the story there. And it was something that happened really organically that I appreciated the process of. It was super fun for me. And so I guess we should just go ahead and get into it. With me, baby, move like the love that you dream of. And I want you, baby, to move like the love that you dream of. You dream of. These brown eyes don't cry for love. And my town's dry. There's a drought in my home. These brown eyes don't cry for long. There's a drought in my home. I like it better when it fits right, but I want it in a fist fight. My niggas glimmer from the wrist like, darling, if you want I can admit, my darling, it's better when it fits right, yeah, but I want it in a fist fight, yeah, if you want I can admit, my darling, my darling. Ooh, baby, I just contemplated how life got complicated, my mind got confiscated, I cry and no one knows, I try to take it slow, but I just keep on running like, with me baby, move like the love that you dream of, and I want you baby to move like the love that you dream of, you dream of. There must be better for a man in a gun and his Beretta. Lost a shoe when I ran like Cinderella. Ella, 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 Ella. There must be better for a man in a gun and his Beretta. Lost a shoe when he ran like Cinderella. Ella, 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 Ella. Sugar brown, won't you look around? See what's in store for you. Put my niggas in the ground, still I try to stick around. What's in store? Sugar brown, won't you look around and see what's in store for you? They put my niggas in the ground and still I try to stick around. What's in store? Gun in his Beretta, lost a shoe when I ran like Cinderella. Ella, 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 Ella. There must be better for a man in a gun in his Beretta. Lost a shoe when he ran like Cinderella. Ella, 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 Ella. Ooh, baby, I like the love that you dream of. I just won't get you to move, baby. Like the love that you dream of, you dream of. And it is Brown Eyes. So, the story behind Brown Eyes. You know, I tried to write something that felt really upbeat and celebratory, and I don't often make a whole lot of music that's like that, to be honest. My music tends to be really moody. And part of the writing of this thing that's supposed to be really like super celebratory and like, ooh, yeah, it kind of feels like a festival in the streets is, well, I considered it kind of like a state of hysteria because I wrote it when I was actually feeling really, really bad and recorded it also when I was feeling really, really bad. And the lyrics in Brown Eyes are, well, okay, let me just kind of, so the first verse of Brown Eyes says, I like it better when it fits right, yeah, but I want it in a fist fight. And so what that is alluding to is, I guess, well, anybody who's not white in this country has experienced a struggle of some sort with trying to demand or reclaim agency over human rights and your body and your land and your home. And even with all of the progress that has been made and the fights fought in this country by our ancestors and even people today, you know, it's like it's still not good enough. And we should never get complacent with where we are right now because of whatever, you know, progress has been made. And so the line, I like it better when it fits right, but I want it in a fist fight, is alluding to the idea of still being proud of the progress that we've made as a people, but through the fight and tussle that we've all experienced, or you know, that our people have experienced, but also understanding that this is still not fitting and this is still not home and still not the quality of life that we deserve, and the recognition of humanity that we deserve as people. And then it says, my niggas glimmer from the wrist like darling, darling. And that glimmering from the wrist is alluding to the culture, the fashion, the beauty of my people, Black people, you know, but I mean, whoever's listening, you could equate that to any of your folks, but then also the idea of like both literal and metaphoric chains or like handcuffs. So it's like, my niggas glimmer from the wrist like darling. And so a lot of that song is talking about that relationship, which is why it's like upbeat, but also to me, it's kind of, it's celebratory, but when I hear it, it's kind of eerie because I know just kind of the state I wrote it in was in that kind of space. And again, well, I'm from, if I didn't tell you earlier, Oakland, California, and California's been in a drought since, you know, I was a child. Like, the drought, low-key doesn't even feel like it's anything different, you know, because we've been in a drought since as long as I can remember. But of course, lyrics also are just talking about my home, and it's like, these brown eyes don't cry for long, and my town's dry. There's a drought in my home, which is more literal. There's talking about, you know, the place that I'm from, the place that we're from. And one of my favorite lines, there must be better for a man than a gun in his Beretta. Lost a shoe when he ran like Cinderella. Ella, 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 Ella. Is, well, there must be better for a man than a gun in his Beretta. And a Beretta is a gun. So, like, you know, it's kind of like the nonsensicalness of this choice. It's like you could have a gun or you could have a Beretta, you know. And it's the idea that there must be a better choice for folks than kind of continuing to survive through like these violent fucking means that are necessary for a lot of people. But just the idea like there has to be something more beyond that, beyond a war, beyond fighting, beyond, you know, continuing to engage in this unhealthy cycle. And then the whole like lost a shoe when he ran like Cinderella, to me is talking about, you know, just like despite the circumstances, despite the fighting, despite this country not really fitting in this country, not being a proper home to so many people, we're still running towards this idea of our fairy tale and this idea of our love. And so that to me is what Brown Eyes is about. That's the space that it was written in. And I feel like it's something that I relate to. I hope other people also relate to it, or else I'm just crazy out here. But with like, especially current events, with everything happening in the US right now, with the riots and what have you. And that actually brings me to the last song of the set. Is actually a part of a project that I'm doing called Quiet Hours in the Burning. Quiet Hours in the Burning was started during the time of the George Floyd riots. It was in direct response to the George Floyd riots. The track list includes anything from like actual tips on how to protest safely, which is a big thing that inspired the project, was us wanting to inform people in this energizing way, as opposed to like something being scary and kind of draining. But and then also to like make a sonic space of healing or whatnot. And this song, this last little diddly do, is a part of that project. It is called What I Need, and oop, that was loud. And it is the only song I performed today that was not produced by myself. This one was actually produced by Ari, a good friend of mine. I love that guy. And yeah, and Ari is somebody I've been working pretty closely with on the whole Quiet Hours in the Burning project. And I guess, you know, I'm just go ahead and get into that one too. I just need some therapy. Walk and talk to God while maybe sitting on my knees. Put a flower in a jar to make my room a pretty scene. I need when I need. I just need some therapy. Walk and talk to God while maybe sitting on my knees. Put a flower in a jar to make my room a pretty scene. I need when I need. And I'd exhale so lightly, with you right beside me. On the phone it'd be likely I ain't gonna gonna give up no time soon, no, no. I just need some therapy, gotta take good care of me. I just need some therapy, I need what I need. I need what I need. What I need. I'm still a soldier. You made me this way. You made me this way. You made me this way. Laying under leaves, looking up, I finally see I see no enemies. Think I hear a whisper from the breeze saying to release. I just need some therapy. Walk and talk to God, well, maybe sitting on my knees. Put a flower in a jar to make my room a pretty scene. I need what I need. I just need some therapy, yeah. 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 I just need some therapy. I just need some therapy, yeah. And I just need some therapy, yeah. And I just need some therapy, yeah. And I just need what I need. Swing, just for a while. Swing, play, like we're still childs, running wild, we're in the crowd, and we don't look down. Wear my sweatpants, I'ma do my dance. I'ma rock my sweatband in that break of sweat. I just need some therapy. Walk and talk to God, well, maybe I'm sitting right on my knees. Gotta take good care of me. Gotta take good care of me. And that is what I need, which is off of Quiet Hours in the Burning project. And yeah, I mean, I guess it's definitely something I need, but I feel like a lot of people also can relate to that. And yeah, I guess that concludes my set. I am happy that I was able to be here and share these things with you guys, the rough things, the old things, the process, the journey that I'm still on. We're trying to figure out how to be comfortable and engaged this life, how to still want to do this thing in the midst of all this fucking turmoil and destruction. Because one of the most powerful things that somebody said to me is when my aunt had told me recently, she was like, the world has ended many times before for people like us. And so even in this point of like turmoil and a lot of conflict and a lot of strife, and you got the race riots, you got the California fires, you got a pandemic, you know, it really does feel like the whole world is ending. And it's hard to want to experience this and exist right now, especially if you have history of mental illness, when you don't really want to exist, period. Like, why would I want to exist in the end of the world when there's war suffering, when it's already difficult for me to want to exist when things are relatively fine, or when I'm facing demons that other people don't see and that everybody's not in it together. But it is important for me to remember that for Black people, for people of color, our world has ended many times before. For queer people, our world has ended many times before. It's not like this country or whiteness or the Western world hasn't taken everything from us at some point, or as much as it possibly could have taken from us at some point. You know, it's like, do you think like during slavery that Black people didn't feel like the world was over. You know, like people's worlds are ending all the time. And personally, I feel like it's overdue for this one to end. And of course, you know, it's not going to be a comfortable experience, but staying present in that, supporting each other in that, trying to get the comfort and the support that you need through whatever avenues or methods that you can get that support is important. Right now, it's really important. And I think it's also important to remember that this has happened, you know? Like, this might be the end, but it's just one of many endings that our people have gone through in this world. And with that, I am still trying to learn how to live and want and experience. But music definitely makes it that much better. So thank you for listening to my set, for watching me perform. Again, thank you to the ladies at Gold Beams. Thank you, Fourth Mondays, for having me. This has been a blast. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day or night.